All right, Brian Baker here with Hunt Fish Camp. If you watch my channel, you know that one of my goals is to try and help you get out and catch some more fish. Make sure you subscribe, that helps me out. Today we're talking about the top 4 baits. So if you are going ice fishing for panfish, what 4 jigs do you need? Okay, you don't need a giant tackle box of things. The tackle shops and stores, they have a million options out there. Some baits are great, and a lot of those baits are just there to catch fishermen. And I've been caught plenty of times buying things. I think, oh, it's gonna be awesome. I go try it and it just doesn't work for me. And so I've got 4 baits that I know work. And so check these out. And then next time you go, make sure you get a couple of each of these, and that'll help you out a lot. Also, if your favorite bait is not in my 4, comment, or if it is, I guess, comment down below. Please let me know, what is your favorite bait? I love trying new baits. If you tell me there's some awesome bait that you really like, I'll probably end up getting it and trying it out. But today we're talking, if you're going to a multi-species lake, so you don't necessarily know what you're gonna get on, these are the 4 things you need. Now we're not gonna go in any particular order here, but starting off, let's start with, and I'm even gonna give you a brand here. So Acme Tackle is a jig that I use a lot, and it's just these little tungsten jigs in different colors. Now, and I use a size 3 or 2 almost all the time, which are the smallest 2 sizes. I do have some size 4s. So these little tungsten jigs here, hold that hook side there. So something like this is one that I like when I'm around crappies, things like that. But the bait sits horizontal, and I use these a lot, and they're the most common ice fishing jig out there because of their weight. The tungsten lets it get down there, so even if it's windy, you can get your bait down, you can feel your bait. They're a lot easier to fish. I like them because they work well with the plastic, and we don't use bait all that often, but so these tungsten jigs are fantastic. Again, the mistake people make is they use tungsten jigs that are too big. Smaller is better 95% of the time, and those jigs are what Bradley and I use probably 90% of the time, are these tungsten jigs. Okay, so get a few of those in a variety of colors. If you watch any videos, you'll know this, so that I call it the Bradley Special. So that's our pink jig that we like, but really the Wonder Bread, any of the colors, they're always really great. Just experiment with different colors. Bright days, bright colors, dark days, dark colors, usually a good rule of thumb. Okay. Next jig that I always carry with me is these guys. These are called Lil Cecils. So this is a Little Cecil. In this particular one, I changed out the flapper to be a red flapper. Most of them, if you buy them at a store or a tackle shop, they'll have a little, a silver or gold flapper. They've got a little rubber ring on there too for some color. This is probably the #1 color if you're gonna get a color, so like an orange and chartreuse type color. And these are very, very light. They're a little bigger profile, and these get really good if you're around perch or crappies, or if fish just want something a little bit bigger. If you buy tiny little bluegills and they're just driving you crazy, you keep catching them, fingers getting cold, whatever, you can switch to something like a Little Cecil, and bigger bluegills will hit it. Little bluegills will follow it around, but not typically hit it. So Little Cecil, so something very, very small, but those are very lightweight. If it's windy or you're fishing really deep, they can be kind of a pain, which is why the next one that we need is the next step up from that, and I'll show you my favorite one right here, is some sort of spoon. And I like this one because of the flapper that's on there, and this is the Macho Minnow by Northland, I believe it is who makes this, but same thing. So lots of different options here, slightly bigger, but again, fairly small but heavier, and so the heaviness is what I want here. And this is, again, crappies and perch. So now I'm getting out of bluegills, I'm in crappie country or perch country, and then I'm gonna use something bigger like this to target those bigger fish. And you can see I've got a whole pile. So here's just a little pile of options, what we've got going on here of various spoons that I actually use. Alright, so we've talked about tungsten jigs, we've talked about Little Cecils, we've talked about spoons, smallish spoons. The 4th bait I want to talk about is probably the best bait that there is for ice fishing. And it's a bait I grew up using, and that is a rocker jig. So let's take a quick look. I got just a little stash of rockers right here. So those little guys there. And this is my #1 favorite rocker jig. I probably shouldn't even show it to you. It's like a dark purple orange spot. It's got a silver back to it. This particular one, the paint's coming off of it, but this jig will catch everything from perch to crappies to bluegills. It is awesome. And how these rocker jigs work, so any of these, they've got a little curve to their back. And so as you jig them, as you jig downward, they rock on down. Now, if fishing crappies or aggressive perch, you let it flutter a little bit, and they'll turn sideways and they flutter down, which is awesome, and then you can jig it up. But an excellent, excellent bait. The issue is they are lightweight, so if it is windy or you're fishing deep, they can be kind of a pain. And I typically would put a spike on there or a wax worm, so you need bait. And I don't use bait a lot of times. So most often I'm sticking with like the tungstens and the spoon type baits. But if I have spikes with me, you better believe I'm gonna have a rocker jig rigged up because it is amazing. If you want crappies, I go with the darker purple and something with silverback. If I want perch or bluegills, I go with something bright colored usually. And then this one has a glow back, but doesn't need the silver shine. But what happens, so when a fish eats, it opens its mouth, it sucks water in. So the lighter the bait, the easier it is to suck in for that fish. If it's a really heavy bait, the current of the water isn't gonna pull it as well. So a bait like this, they tend to suck in the hook end really, really easily, and when you get a bite, you tend to hook your fish. They're not gonna nip at it. They aren't typically nipping at the head of the bait, that type of thing. And there you have it, those 4 baits. So if I was gonna go out fishing with only 4 baits in my tackle box, I would take a Bradley Special, so a tungsten jig in some sort of a pink color, but really any of the colors are pretty awesome. Apparently I like pink a lot. I would take a little Cecil and some sort of orange and chartreuse probably type thing. So again, a little bit lighter, small profile. I would bring some sort of a silver or bait fish looking type spoon. And I would bring a rocker jig, and I would definitely bring one that has a silver back is my preference for the crappies. They like that silver color. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. If you go into a tackle store, avoid all the garbage that's out there. I've got enough of that of my own, and get yourself a couple tungsten jigs, get yourself a couple rocker jigs, a couple little Cecils, and a couple of spoons, and that is all you need to get out, catch some fish. Let me know in the comments, what's your favorite jig? Is there something here that I didn't mention? I've got a lot of different jigs that I carry around and use for other situations, but these are the 4 that I would use most often. There you have it. Get out and catch them. Alrighty, in case you think I'm lying on what I've got in my jig box, so this is my primary jigs box here, everything that I use, and here we go. So I've got tungsten jigs. You can tell I have a lot of those, some with plastics on it. I do have a few rocker style jigs. And I've got my jig and wrap, my slightly bigger spoons, my rockers, and then my little Cecils and a couple of smaller style spoons are in there. But that's primarily what I use.